What's holding you back from starting or growing your business into what it can be? Well, if you're listening to this, it's not a lack of information. What you're about to hear is all you need to get motivated and start making waves. Do It for a Living podcast details the journey of today's true players in their own words. Find out how they broke out so you can too. The time is now. The time is always now.
Welcome back to another episode of Do It for a Living. I'm Todd Ersley with the My Shop Assist project management software. And today I've got with me Johnny Cichowski of 9 Lives Racing. Johnny's a guy that I've seen at track events all over the country for quite a while, and he's many years, actually going back quite a few. And so most known for an aluminum extrusion wing. And so I think it's a very unique product. I mean, it's not unique in general, but it's unique from, not like a carbon fiber wing or something that you typically see. And I think it's a really cool product, and what he's done with it is really exciting. So wanted to get him on the podcast. We had talked, I think it was like even a year ago at one of the Grid Life events, and finally got him around, getting myself back to getting episodes and getting him some free time to talk with us today. So Johnny, how are you doing?
Good, Todd. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited. So to kind of get the podcast started, I want to give the listeners a background of yourself. Where did you grow up? What did you do as a kid? What were kind of your hobbies?
Probably what leads us to the beginning was probably my family. My grandfather was a very successful businessman, owned trucking companies, land development companies, things like that. And so growing up, I've always had a firsthand view of that kind of lifestyle. I always thought it was the coolest thing. Growing up as a little kid, and it's like I'd love to do that. But the bad part was that wasn't like a real job to give me an example of what to do, And so from there, kind of didn't know what to do. Joined the military as a young man after I think everybody else in the world that girlfriend dumped you, got fired from your job, might as well join the Army.
Okay.
And so me and every other guy that has that problem, and a few of the girls too, joined up, went to Iraq as a mechanic. I was a recovery guy, so basically that's a glorified tow truck driver. Came back, didn't really know what to do. I took the GI Bill and went to school, and I was never really a good student before, and afterwards I still wasn't very good at it. Learned a lot, but ultimately left. I did get degrees, but I just didn't feel like school was the thing for me.
What were your degrees?
So associates in Bachelor of Science, Business of Science, I think it was, and then project management from University of Phoenix. So nothing too prestigious. Just I feel like basic education is always pretty good.
Yeah, going through the motions. Yeah,
it helps everybody. So yeah, we went through that, and at that point the recession hit, and I was out of work for almost 2 years, and my wife, that's when I met my wife, and I basically was a bum. and right then and there, I was like, well, if I'm not doing anything efficient, I'm going to do something I like to do. So I started messing with cars. Before that, I was a big bike guy, raced dirt, motocross and stuff, but got out of that after I figured out I don't bounce anymore. I started messing with cars, went to first autocross back in like 2006, and realized I really enjoyed that. And then it was straight down the rabbit hole after that. Jumped in with a buddy's shop where I was helping him out, on 3-4 days a week. And then I interviewed with PFC Brakes right from there. Mm-hmm. They liked that I had sponsors, and I could wheel and deal from that, with just having an autocross car. They brought me in, and from there, that was a rocket ship for my career. I went from kid that didn't know anything to, subject matter expert on brakes, almost overnight. I made a bunch of mistakes, but for the most part, I flew, got 24-hour Daytona victory under my belt, got 12-hour Sebring, almost won Le Mans. Did you name it in motorsports, everything from rallycross to Baja trucks and everything in between. But I was the the main go-to for Grand Am and phone support for NASCAR.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah. So when they brought you in, was it a sales role, or was it like okay?
Yeah, so it was sales role. And when I got in there, I didn't really notice that they needed a sales role. What they needed was technical expert, because it was kind of like that's what they expected you to do, but that wasn't. I wasn't sitting there banging down doors or anything to a certain extent. I was more kind of like, you have a problem, I'll find you a solution kind of a thing.
Okay.
I'd done sales as a Volkswagen dealer when I was in between shops as a kid, and I realized I didn't like that very much at all. But when I got into this role, it was much more of just landing a product on a person that has a need for that product.
Gotcha. So so I mean, because with the brakes, it's quite like that market to me is pretty competitive. Like it's pretty secretive with the materials and
right.
It's I don't think we've actually interviewed, like I've got a couple brake manufacturers that I know, but we haven't ever been able to get them down to do an interview. But that's material properties, it's thermodynamics, it's
it's everything.
I mean,
there's like so much involved that everybody overlooks.
Yeah. So did they help like teach you that stuff, or was it just kind of just
absolutely.
learning? So
the cool thing about PFC was that the engineers are all in America, right? So Brembo, they're in Italy. I have no idea. All that stuff. So whenever I had a question, I just sat myself in the engineering pit, and I like to say that I was more of the guy that could effectively communicate what an engineer says to a customer without pissing off the customer. And so I was able to kind of speak the language, and basically just sitting in that engineering pit gave me a huge wealth of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And most of those guys, it's all second nature, but to someone who doesn't know anything, it's all incredible information.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's and like you were saying, it's super competitive. I mean, I saw one of the events. It was a bare brake guy helping a Willwood guy take a tent down, and I just thought it was like, I'm like, what in the world is going on here? Because normally we're all at each other's throats.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? I don't understand this helpfulness. I don't get it.
And that's like just totally on a tangent, but like that's one of the things I kind of want to interview somebody that's in the brake business, because they have a very difficult time explaining their product.
Yes.
Because like,
absolutely.
When we get into like the wings, it's like, okay, well, here's the downforce profile based on speed and angle. Like, right. It's relatively simple. You get to brakes, it's like, like, what are you doing? What tires are you running? How good of a driver are we? Like I don't.
Yeah, I had a buddy right after I left PFC. I had a buddy explain to me brakes, which I thought was funny. And he just took his hands and made both his hands put vertical, and then he kind of did this clapping motion. He goes, "This is brakes." And he just pat his hands together, and I'm like, "You jerk!" Just went red.
It's hard. It's hard to sell brake pads to people because it's pretty expensive, and as a racer, they wear out pretty fast. So it's like, well, I don't know if this is going to be good or not. You can't really find out until it's time to do it. But
I find that the interest isn't there, right?
Yeah.
So you have interest for camshafts.
Yep.
You have interest for big power and superchargers and turbo noises. You have interest for wings, and splitters. You can see it working on the car. When a car runs through the rain, you can see everything working. It gets people very excited. Nobody gets excited about turning the horsepower they just spent a bunch of money on into heat.
Yeah.
So there's no passing. There's a lot of passing, interest where people just kind of go, meh, and they just don't want to look at it.
Yeah, just
so it's. So for that, you got to figure out, how do I make it interesting? Like how do I knock that wall down?
Yeah.
And I've been seeing Brembo lately on their Facebook pages, and I have no affiliation with those guys, but I see them kind of pushing the limit, trying to make it interesting, and I'm like, you guys are on the wrong path.
Yeah, it's so hard. That's a really hard one to do. It just, I see it and it's amazing, but I'll keep trying to do that. And so. I'm amazed at the vastness of your, I guess, racing experience from the brake guy's standpoint. That you've gone and you attended and helped and, all these teams at all these different events and obviously did very well. What was was that what led into the 9 Lives Racing stuff, or was there kind of an intermediate step?
There was an intermediate. So when I left PFC, I went to go work. I kind of popped around a little bit. It's weird for me to find work because I'm so only interested in track driving. Like I only care about race cars.
Yep.
And it's mostly because I love the people that do that. There's something wrong with us that we like to work 80 hours a week to blow all our money to drive in a circle. But it's something about that weirdness that I get along with. So I popped around a few different places, and none of it was really quite a good fit. But then I landed up at OG Racing, which is a safety company and a big retailer for PFC Brakes. And those guys, I felt great there. That was a great home. I love that place. I still love those guys. And I was doing safety equipment and brakes for them. I learned a bunch on safety equipment. Kind of transitioned away from brakes at that point, but I used all my contacts because I did seats and this 2-part foam install.
Yeah. Yep.
Where it's a self-expanding foam. And that kind of got me in the door of a lot of places.
And so and that's where you take like a general seat and I don't really know how that process works. Is it just like little packs that you burst and then the person sits in the seat?
Not quite, but kind of close. But so when you order a new GT3, right, like a Mercedes GT3 or a Ferrari or something like that, they don't really give you a seat. What they give you is a giant bucket. Some of them say belt on it, but it doesn't matter. It's just a big bucket. And then you hire someone like me to come in to go in and do this 2-part foam where you sit the driver in there. We position them in a certain way. We do this expanding foam around them, and it's a hard impact absorbing foam. And, to me, it was super cool because it was this really kind of neat technology. But the best part was, one, I could use all my contacts, and 2, I knew I get to do all the elbowing with the drivers. Which,
that's what
when I was doing. Oh, yeah, it was cool. You get all the people on TV, you get to hang out with them. Most of them know me by name now, so it's pretty cool. But when we were doing brakes, it was just I go right in the engineering pit. I went right to the crew chief.
Yep.
And I
not really talking with the driver much. Yeah.
Not really at all. We were in there. They'd ask general questions, set up, and you'd answer that. But that would be about it. So it was never. So now I'm kind of in more of the glitz and glamour, and I enjoy that a lot. But I was doing it for Elan, who's where we lead into the wings, and
that's the company that made the NASA car, isn't it?
Yeah, the NPO1. I was doing all the seats for that.
Okay.
I was looking at the wing, and I'm like, it's this aluminum extruded wing, and I'm looking at the thing, and I'm like, hey, I got a race car. That, the aluminum is inexpensive. Like, how much do you want for the wing? And they looked at me, and they're like, well, we really want to get these out of here. We got a lot of. They ordered 2,000 pounds of these things, and I was like, well, okay, and I sat on the idea,
Yeah.
And it was just, and it was just plain raw material, and I sat on the idea for probably about a year and a half. And the engineers that I knew over at Elan kept every time I come in to make a seat, like, hey, take some of these off our hands. I was like, nah, no big deal. I'll just go get, carbon wing or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
Like no big deal. Well, eventually they wore me down, and they gave me one. And I threw it on my car, and I was like, we'll see if it. I told some buddies online, and they were very excited. And I was like, well, I'll try it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to scrap the whole idea because I got a really nice day job that I really enjoyed doing.
And that was when you were still working at OG Racing?
Mm-hmm. Yep, okay. Exactly. And I'm like, if it doesn't work, I'll scrap the whole thing. And so we took off. We had one of those entry-level carbon wings, the name brand. And we took it off, and we put on this, we welded it up. And I welded it. At the time, I couldn't weld aluminum very well, so I still have
Stuck some pieces together crudely. Huh?
It was gross. And so I welded it together myself and stuck it on the car. And once you know it, go out, run 7 miles an hour faster on the back straight. 5 miles an hour faster on the back straight, 7 miles an hour through the turn 11 at Road Atlanta, which is a very fast sweeper. And I was just amazed. I was sitting in the car coming through the start finish line, just eyes super wide open. I'm like, this thing works. This is amazing. It's blown my expectations out of the water. And because we went from a 60-inch wing on the old setup to a 66-inch wing, I was thinking we would lose a couple miles an hour. I wasn't expecting we gained it in the straightaway. So I'm like, this is incredible. I have to tell everybody.
Yeah.
And as soon as it came out and I released it, it was a hit. Everyone started grabbing it. People were clamoring for it. They wanted me to make kits for other cars. We rushed in and got the E36s done next because we had the most people asking for that. And, and I like to say that I'm not really the idea guy, that I didn't want to be an aero guy at one. I don't say I don't want to be, but I didn't have the idea of being an aero guy. Uh-huh. Everyone pushed me into it, and they said, "Yeah, get us this," and I got it for them. And since then, it's been just a rocket ship, So it's been pretty fun.
That's pretty wild, yeah. So, what about like your location? Were you always in that area, and like did that help? Or have you kind of moved around as the jobs and the racing took you?
Right. I've always been so when I started off autocrossing, I lived in Chicago. I have a lot of good friends up there, but then PFC's in Charlotte. So I moved down there for that. And then when I took the job at OG, they basically said, hey, we need a rep to be a little bit more in the Atlanta region. And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I love Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So moved down to Atlanta. I love it down here. It's like that right mix of corporate professionalism with redneck and good times kind of a thing. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, this fits me pretty well. I like this.
Location is one that's, pretty important to a lot of shops, but it may not be for others. Would you say that being in Atlanta has really helped you? Or, do you think you would have done the same if you had been somewhere else?
I want to say it's helped, but I'm not entirely sure. So competition breeds better business, mm-hmm. right? So everyone wants to rub the shop out next door, right? Because those guys are taking our customers, and you hear the stories and blah, blah, blah. Everyone thinks that everyone thinks that that's a bad thing, but it's not. It's if you have two shops that are doing very similar work and very similar quality, and they're kind of really pushing, that marketing dollar is going out and it's drawing it right to where you guys are at. Mm-hmm. So, if you're one dude out in the middle of nowhere by himself, no one's going to pay attention to you. So, mm-hmm. and all the aero guys that I know are in California.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good because there's so much racing on the East Coast, and there's no other aero company out here other than the big guys. The guys that are, the wind tunnels are out here for NASCAR and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Those guys are out here. But as far as like performance aftermarket, there's nothing out here. So I want to say it's good, and I want to say it's bad all at the same time. So I don't really know.
It's kind of neutral. What about I
think so.
The Elan guys, that you said that mm-hmm. they manufactured that profile.
Yeah.
Where is that made? Is it in Europe somewhere, or is that done in the States?
No, it's actually done right up the road.
Okay.
All of our suppliers are within 30 minutes of our shop.
So that's good. That helps out a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. So the company that does the extrusions, we have to get it made in America. We can't outsource it because no one else can get the wall thickness. Those guys can't. So it's kind of this.
So it's a pretty advanced manufacturing process. It's not something real simple.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Because I've talked to a bunch of different extruders and, a bunch of different guys that have tried to do aluminum extrusion themselves, and all the wings come out really heavy and small because they can't get the size. This place is the only one we can find, or the only one that's been able to be found.
Do it, yeah.
That could do the wall thickness the way we need it. So it's been pretty cool. And I'm combat veteran. I support everything American made to the to the
That's
T.
good.
Oh yeah, so I love it. But yeah, it's great.
So just with like current affairs stuff related to imports and that kind of thing, have you found it to be more difficult to manufacture these cost-wise with, like, has the aluminum prices hit you any?
They honestly, when we started, and I want to say started, but when we started getting like into some serious quantities of aluminum, the tariffs were already in place.
Okay.
And that's only for our mounts, the raw material that we get for like the uprights and stuff. That's the stuff that's imported.
Okay.
But yeah, everything
it's just
else
like
is
a sheet, like a thick sheet, right? Or I guess
exactly,
it's just plate.
yeah.
It's plate at that point.
Yeah. I think it's just technically, I think it's just under a plate.
Okay.
The thing is that we're using, but yeah, that stuff was already dialed in when we were getting fired up, so it didn't affect me at all. But I mean, I would love if I tell you my previous experiences with fabrication and things like that. We would get some of the stainless in that we. So as a young kid, I worked at a pollution control equipment company, and they basically would shove these giant tubes in the smokestacks and test the pollution that was coming out of them, and it was all stainless. And you would stick the thing in there, and in about 4 hours, it was gone. It would be completely destroyed. Wow. Just from the acidity and stuff inside the stack. But we got a load of Chinese titanium in, and it started rusting even before it left the shop.
Jesus.
I'm like, what in the world is this? It's supposed to be stainless. And so it was a whole hoopla. But yes, after that experience, I'm like, okay, if we can get American-made material, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, you can get much better quality that way.
Exactly, yeah. And it is what they say it is, which is usually the tricky part.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the big thing, especially at the PFC and the brakes. If I'd be talking to somebody who gets their rotors from China or something like that, and you could almost tell that the guys in China were lying to them, because they would tell me something about like the metallurgy and the rotors, and you could tell they believed it. You could tell that was
they were convinced.
Hand on heart, they would swore by it, but we weren't getting the reactions of it. The rotors were wearing out faster. They would crack faster. They would, like it wouldn't last as long as something that is what they were saying
is actually that. Yeah, it's pretty obvious comparison.
So I'm like, look, brother, I know you like what you got, but those guys are lying to you right now.
Yikes.
Yeah. So any chance I get to buy American, I definitely do it.
So with this business, what phase did you go? Well, I'm assuming that you don't work at OG Racing anymore. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the catalyst or the trigger for you to go full time? Was it a dollar amount? Was it a quantity amount? Was it just like a screw it, I'm just going to do it kind of thing?
It was a little bit of screw it, I'm going to do it. And it was also time. I was noticing I wasn't giving OG the time it needed for me to do my job well. Right. And I didn't want to, I mean, I love those guys. I didn't want to take advantage of them.
Yeah.
So I basically was like, okay, this is time. I can't give you 40 hours this week,
Yeah, because you're working 60 at the other one or something like that. Huh?
Yeah, I was, I would wake up, my eyes would open, I'd go pick up materials, because we started late at OG. I'd go pick up materials, bring it home, work all day, go right into the shop, my garage at the time, and start welding up wings. And then, and then I'd go to bed, wake up and do it all over again every day. And it started getting to the point where like we got this thing called wing skins, which covers the wing and makes it black. And it's just a piece of vinyl. But I was sitting there answering phone calls for OG, putting those in the boxes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this probably isn't
this isn't really,
thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but like that's good that you did that. Like they're not. I mean, it's not a good thing to do, but you get some giant corporation and you're like, they don't even know if you're not working very hard, kind of deal.
Right.
It may feel a little different. Yeah.
Yeah, and this wasn't a giant corporation. This Bill, the owner over there, and I are both combat veterans. He was in Vietnam, and when I interviewed over there, all we did was sit down and talk about war stories. We didn't even talk about racing.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do them bad, So
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
So with this business, as you were getting it started, or maybe even yesterday, was there anything that you kind of doubted and were like worried that, man, I just don't know if it's going to work? And then how did you overcome that feeling?
So that's a pretty good one. Honestly, the only real doubt I had was the first order of wings. Because I didn't take any orders. I just wanted to get them first. Mm-hmm. And the first
So you were purchasing inventory without having sold them.
Right.
Like that's
exactly.
what you're explaining. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I might have sold one or two, but at the time I was going to order I was going to order $900 worth, and that's why I started the company. It was $900, and I was sitting there with my $900 and a check, and this time it was all I had in the bank account, and I'm like, well, either this is going to sink or this is going to swim, And at the very least, I can just blow these things out for $10 and get a couple bucks back, And that was my big doubt moment. And after that, I didn't need to doubt it. It ran like gangbusters. I was like, whoa, okay, So that was the way she went.
Yeah. So just the fear of getting started.
Yeah.
That's a big one. That big order.
Right. Yeah, and also leaving my job.
Yeah.
My day job was pretty tough one to leave. I was like, oh, I hope I'm making a good life choice.
You'll find out later.
Yeah, right.
So what about like a bad experience? Like, have you ever encountered something that you were like, man, this is just the worst? Maybe with vendors or customers or website hosting or anything like that? Like what's like a really bad struggle that you had?
Probably learning about how extruders treat their customers. That was pretty rough. A buddy of mine likes to use the term, he gets treated like a mushroom. And that's where they keep you in the dark and feed you crap.
Okay.
and so when dealing with extruders, you say, hey, I want to get this. How long is it going to take? And they will go, I don't know. It takes as long as it takes. And that's it. That's all you can get out of them. Yeah, and you got this huge order in. You're waiting for all this stuff to come in. You don't know when it shows up. And it's been hell. This last order we did with them, Elan calls me up and they go, "Hey, your wings are here." I'm like, well, "What do you mean? Like they're not supposed to be here for another 30 days."
Oh my gosh! Yeah, yeah. It's hard to plan if you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They pulled up on a truck and they're out there. I'm like, oh, geez. How do I effectively communicate this with my customers?
Yeah.
It's so off the wall. So that was a big eye opener for me.
So then how do you try to smooth that out? Is it just ordering well ahead of time, or are you still just trying to get a big stock?
Yep. I keep an eye on the inventory, and when it starts getting down to like 20% left, it's time to knock on some doors and get another load going. So it's basically the only way you can really do it. You learn these things the hard way.
Yeah, as you go. Yeah, when you run out of stock and then you're 4 weeks out or 10 weeks out or something.
Oh yeah, and that people don't like that. People don't like it if they gotta wait.
What like software system are you using to manage your inventory?
Oh, geez.
You're just looking into the garage.
Yeah, open the door, look out back. Actually, for the inventory, it's kept at Elan keeps the raw material, and so they do a pretty good job of alerting me what's left.
Okay, and so it's still kind of a partnership with them.
Absolutely, yeah. We, every chance I get to quote something, I always throw it to them first. Those guys have my first day at PFC. I sit down at my desk. I didn't know anything. And boss throws down a folder on my desk and says, "Don't tell anyone." And I open the thing up, and it's the Delta Wing.
Oh, nice.
So my entire career started with the Delta Wing, and now I'm partners with Delta Wing, and it's amazing. So I'm like, I just love those guys. So every chance I get, I throw something at them. I'm like, "Here, do you want to try making this, or you want to try making that?" you want to try making carbon wings, this stuff. So they just let them go, go to town. Let me know, all this fun stuff. So.
So what about, is there anything that you're doing right now that's got you really fired up?
Oh man, I tell you, firing me up is hard. I really like to have, no back orders, but that's been pretty tough right now. So everything, what gets me fired up on that topic is I got a new website coming in that will, because everything's made to order, that will alert customers to their status.
Cool. Yep.
So you order on the website, you get an email confirmation. We'll be able to scan the wing in. It sends the confirmation. It says, hey, your wing has arrived from Elan, is now in the holding area for manufacturing, for welding, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they get an email for that. They get an email for when it's welded. They get an email for when it's boxed. And they get an email for when it ships. So it'll be 90% of my emails is, hey, where's my wing at?
Yep.
And
status
so
updates.
Yep. And this will just knock it all right out. It'll say, here's the, it'll be in a preloaded email. As soon as someone sends us a message, check that. Here's your link, and it'll free us up a good bit.
Is that something is that a custom code deal, or is that like a plug-in for one of the website template builders?
A little bit of both. And so my wife does warehouse inventory.
Oh, yep. Okay,
cool. Yeah, for like Home Depot and stuff like that. And so I kind of bounced this idea off her. I'm like, do you know how to do this? And she goes, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, let's do it. She's like, yeah, stupid.
Yeah, and I'm finishing, again, another tangent, but I'm finishing up a remodel of a house right now, and I visit Home Depot at least once a day, and it's astonishing to me the accuracy of their quantity on hand from ordering it online or visiting a store. So if she has anything to do with that, kudos.
That's actually exactly what it
is. It is like their app. Their app is like my favorite thing. I use it all day, every day, because I'm like, where is this product? And you can scan it in. It'll show you right where it is. It's just totally insane.
That's her deal.
That's cool. Well, tell her I said thank you.
Will do.
But yeah, like that, the customer side, again, that's what we do with our My Shop Assist software was like the majority of interactions that shops have with customers after the sale has been made is status updates. And it's like, that is a total waste of the shop's time, but it's very, very, very important to that customer. Yeah. Because that customer thinks they're the only one, and they don't realize that you've got 100 other people,
Oh yeah.
that are doing the same thing.
There's been so many times where I get a status update request, and I'm like, if you wouldn't have asked me, it would be welded by now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But it's, at the end of the day, that's our customer.
Yeah, you got to look at it from their perspective. It's much different.
And honestly, I don't even like calling them customers. I like calling them our gang.
Yeah.
It's our wang gang, And if it's important to them, it's important to us. So it's like, I'm like, I get it. You want to know, but give me 10 minutes so I can weld this bit. It's this internal struggle you have every day. Like, I just get it. I'm almost there.
Well, that'll be cool.
Give you a good update.
The new website sounds like it'll help you a lot. So that is pretty exciting. Really... And I'm guessing it'll handle all the orders and the. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize everything was so custom. I guess we can go into that here in a little bit, but the website is really like that's what you're selling through. Like that is so critical.
That's all
for you.
It's 100% for us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
The dealer orders come through there. The customer orders come through there. The general questions and everything. That's why, if you were to look at our shop up on Google, we're in the middle of nowhere. Like in an industrial complex. Once you enter the industrial complex, it takes us 10 minutes to get here. We could never do a retail location here. Never. But because we are all on the website, it doesn't matter. Now it's where's the easiest place for us to get our material off the truck? Yeah. Where's the best location to be closest for the powder coaters or that kind of thing. So it's, we're able to do it more in a manufacturing location more than needing to sell the stuff, out the door.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's pause real quick for a break, and then we'll be right back.
We all know owning a shop is difficult, so we created My Shop Assist to help you manage the various jobs. Whether you run a machine shop, a performance tuning shop, build off-road trucks, or even do powder coating, My Shop Assist can help you. It is completely online and will help you schedule the jobs, log time on each task, track parts orders, and take pictures of the work. You can even export your jobs from My Shop Assist into QuickBooks as invoices. So if you're interested to improve operations at your shop, check out myshopassist.com to start your 30-day free trial.
So we're back with Johnny C. of Nine Lives Racing, and I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the business now. So you've moved out of your garage.
Yeah.
So what?
That was a big moment.
What is the facility like? You just mentioned it's in like an industrial park. So how big is the space? Are you renting it? What's kind of the deal with that?
Oh yeah. So because we had to get out of a garage and I was out of time, I was looking at purchasing land. My grandfather was a land developer, so I wanted to develop some land and get a couple shops on it, but we needed to get out of the garage and we needed to get out fast. We couldn't supply the orders fast enough. We could only ship 10 wings a month out of that place. And so moved into this. It's actually a X machine shop where they had recently moved out. And when I was calling the landlords, this one guy, the guy was like, "Hey, I hope you don't mind red, white, and blue," which is our company colors, because this whole shop is painted with red, white, blue. And I was like,
You're like,
tell me more.
America.
I'm like, tell me more about this. And he goes, yeah, it's got 3-phase power. I'm like,
yeah, it's got heavy power in it. Yeah.
This is sounding pretty good to me. Yeah. So, so at that point we were like, okay, cool. So now we can get some real machinery in here and, real equipment. It's got the power to handle it. I don't need to paint the place. It all fits just right. Yeah. And it's 2,000 square feet. So it's your basic entry level shop size. We got 7 people and all working out of here. And it's actually quite amazing. When we first got it, I was like, man, we went from 400 square feet to 2,000. And I'm like, I will never fill this.
Oh, no. The first week, you're overfilled.
Oh, it's full now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got enough room to pull one car in the back, and that's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's just constant, just raw materials, CNC equipment, all that jazz, just to knock stuff out quickly.
I honestly did not realize you had 7 people working there. I kind of just assumed it was you like ordering uprights and welding them on stuff and calling it a day. So
that is me.
Yeah. So what are the roles of the people that are there?
So so first off, when I was shipping wings, I brought my sister in, so she's our shipping manager.
Okay.
Along with our coffee getter and all that other stuff. And then we brought in Marcus, who is our outside sales guy. He basically, I'm pretty bad at forums. I kind of have a tendency to go off the hinges on a lot of stuff because I like to say passion, but maybe I'm just a jerk. And so Marcus handles all our forums, accounts and things like that. And then there is, we got a web guy and things like that work remotely. And then we do this kind of joint company, kind of like parallel companies with Moreland Engineering, who keeps a server in our shop, and they have their employees, which I count as our own because I got to provide air conditioning for them. But it's a joint company, and he's got interns and things like that. And they do all of our CFD work. So when we have a kit, we run it through CFD to make sure it works, and that's all them. When we build a kit and it's new and they want to make sure it doesn't fall off a car, they come through and they go, okay, this is what it's going to take to do that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's, it's been a really great little setup, but yeah, it's, the other day I said I had 7 people and I was like, holy cow.
Yeah. That's a legit business.
Like I didn't even when did that happen?
Yeah.
It snuck up on me. I was just kind of seeing a need and putting someone there pretty much. Cool.
Yeah. And so explain to me the CFD analysis that you're doing. I'd like a little better or a little more explanation about, you're talking about like packages. So what does that entail? Cause I was thinking it was like one wing profile that you have at X number of widths, and then you just put the uprights. But what are you guys actually analyzing? Or is that more for like a race team that comes to you, or you do that for the normal offerings?
A little bit of both. So like I said, I'm a nut. I have to be at the racetrack. And I love working with the pro teams. Those guys are my favorite people. And to them, seconds mean everything. And so when they get a car from Mercedes, when they get a car from Ferrari, what have you, most of the time they are just handed a car. And sometimes they get factory support, most times no. And that's where we come in and we'll scan an entire car for them. We'll run it through this CFD analysis, and then we'll basically output them a report. And it's not very expensive. And we've done it for club racing guys. Honestly, you could probably buy our CFD analysis consultation for the same price as a lot of the bigger guys' wings. So it's just, we go through it and we just kind of say, this is what your car is doing. This is what we think will help you go faster. And then for the club racers, we do the same thing. It's a little bit less involved. For those pro guys, it's more of like, here's your wing angles. Here's a fun one for P1 Motorsport before they quickly shut this year. And I could tell this story. We found out that you could squat the rear of the car down at Daytona and get the wing behind the greenhouse of the car.
Okay.
And they picked up mile an hour at Daytona. And we didn't add anything. We didn't build them nothing. We just the suspension change, and it picked up speed. And that was just, you turn your coilovers a little bit. So that was kind of something we did for those guys. For the club racers, it's more like, okay, this is the way your diffuser should look, or your canards are completely ruining your entire aero balance of your car, something like that. And then for us on the inside, we'll run the CFD on various crazy ideas we have. Right now we're doing splitter ramps, and I have some very credible information that we've learned off of those things. And we'll be releasing it soon, but it's cool. So we just kind of run anything through there. Mm-hmm. I've had a guy approach us about doing turbo manifolds, and he wanted to get the turbo manifold to be as good as it can be by maybe moving a couple bends or something like that. So it's, it's all these kind of cool little things that work out, and just at the end of the day, it improves the customer experience. And if you don't have a good customer experience, you're not going to have customers for very long. So anything we can do to improve the customer experience by putting the wing where it needs to be so it works, by by recommending a splitter size. We don't make splitters, not splitters yet, but we can say, hey, you need a 3-inch splitter that goes this deep, so that way you're going to have a balanced car. It's just little stuff that nobody else does. Everyone else kind of goes, hey, here's this generic wing shape, put it on your car, good luck. Here's these here's these 6 uprights that we make, pick one. Yep, here you go, good luck. So we don't want to be like that. We want to win races. We want to kick some ass.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool to me. Like, I've really enjoyed seeing the availability of that increase. I feel like that's probably over the last 4 or 5 years. It's becoming more doable.
Right.
Like the computing power has gotten so great, and the software has gotten so inexpensive that it is feasible. It's not easy. But it is feasible to learn that stuff and to do it. And, like you said, you can, the scanning tools, just to scan a whole car have gotten so inexpensive. It's ridiculous. I'd like to see
a lot cheaper,
like a graph of price on those things over the last 5 years. It's probably
it's come down a lot,
45-degree negative slope kind of line.
So, when I scan something, they don't let me scan stuff much. They don't let me use the nice stuff. But when they let me do it, I use an Xbox scan kinetic.
Wow, yeah, that's nuts.
That's what. Because I'm like, if I break it, we can go back to GameStop
and buy another one. Yeah.
$30.
Yeah, that's so ridiculous. One. Yeah, that's so crazy. Because I interviewed a different aero company a couple years ago that was really big into it, and they've just continued to push the envelope on that side from developing products standpoint, and it blows my mind how far they can go. And even we interviewed Andrew Brilliant a couple years ago, and I would say he's the top of the top for automotive aerodynamic stuff, at least from the time attack standpoint.
Right. And time attack, nobody's Nobody can get them.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
it's just like the stuff that he's able to do. I don't know if you follow him, but the rig he just built, it was like absolutely ridiculous to do their computation stuff.
Yeah, Nimrod, he calls it.
Yeah, I was like, holy cow! Like I didn't even know that was possible. But
he got to get a rig like that.
yeah,
It's funny because he made his post and they call it Nimrod, and somebody started to be like, "Why would you call your computer stupid?" I'm like, "Well, we call our computer Rosie, after the AC/DC song, for a whole lot of Rose, whole lot of woman." And Andrew was like, "What do you got?"
Yeah.
I had to give my engineer. I'm like, "What do we have?"
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It just works. I don't know.
You're like, I don't know. I'm the charismatic owner. I don't understand this stuff.
But that's really cool that you guys are offering that to people because, it's a lot of it is kind of junk science, and aerodynamics is so not what people think. Like it just being a compressible fluid changes things a lot than water flow. And it's so complicated.
It's been the most humbling. It's been the most humbling thing I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
I've never been more humbled because, man, we try stuff till we're blue in the face that's worked on other cars, and it does, it just won't work on some cars.
Yeah.
All right, well, here, I want to take a step back. You were saying that the CFD stuff is so powerful. The CFD stuff is computing.
Yep.
Right? It will take what you put in. If you have limited experience putting stuff in there, as far as what you've seen works, what you've seen doesn't work, you will have limited answers out of it. That's
true.
Right?
Yeah, so, garbage in, garbage out kind of stuff.
Pretty much, yeah. And here's the thing where we kind of kick some ass. Rob, my lead engineer here, the one that owns Moreland, he is former CFD analysis at Riley Motorsports. He's built the Daytona prototypes. He did the CFD work on the Delta Way. He's the one who did the roof. The Le Mans cars, he's done the Panos cars. So, I mean, when it comes down to somebody that actually knows their stuff, I've been blown away with the stuff that he's come up with. Yeah. One small thing that nobody really ever thinks of, he was like, oh yeah, we had this car that we couldn't put a wing on it, but it needed more rear downforce. It was Ultimate Street Car, whatever you have you. And need more rear downforce. He goes, oh yeah, we're just going to put some signboards on it. And I'm like, signboards?
Yeah, what?
What are you talking about? He goes, oh yeah, and he puts these things that it's just a square in the back of the car, and it's shaped in a very particular way. And what it does is it creates a vortice on the bottom. So it's hollow on the bottom, and it pulls the air and makes it a spin, and gives you a big void behind the car, which pulls more air out from underneath the car. So it's giving it more rear downforce. I'm like, oh, I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, like, totally. Yeah, not like logical thing whatsoever.
Yeah, well, it's the thing that you look at these race cars and you just overlook.
Yeah.
They're full of that kind of stuff. So it's still, you got to have somebody that's got the experience, like Andrew does, or like Rob does, that can look at a car and have 10 ideas to run through the CFD that they have worked on other things.
Yep.
So it's just cool. I sit back and I go, man, I'm glad I'm not doing this.
Yeah. Oh, I get so well. It just snowballs so fast. You start getting like pitch sensitivity or temperature differentiation, temperature differences from. It's just like it gets nasty real fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So back on the business, did you ever
Hit me.
Or have you now done like a business plan, like some forecasting? Or, planning for kind of the growth of the business?
I haven't. Now, kind of what I've always been good at is sitting back, what I call 50,000 feet.
Yep.
Where I can kind of sit above the company. It's so easy to get wrapped up in mundane tasks, right? But if you don't have a good grasp over what your company is and where you want to take it, it'll never get there. It's like having like when you build a race car, you want to sit down and go, okay, I want to go this kind of speed. How do we do it? We got to reduce drag, or I need this much power. But at the end of the day, you need to reach this one goal. So what I've always been good at is just kind of sitting back and going, okay, this is our roadmap. This is where we want to be. We want to be the first name in aerodynamics. How do we get there? We got the wing, which is good. Now we have Moreland teamed up with us to do the CFD work. That's good too. How do we become the name? And everything we do, every time we launch something, it's all going towards that goal.
Yeah. So it's like big picture. So it's doing some planning. Maybe in your head.
It's more kind of like as ideas come in, do they fit this goal?
Yeah.
And then if it does, then yes, we have to do it. It's like any idea I get for customer service, right?
Okay, yeah.
Like on the ends of the wings for shipping, we use a piece of wood, and we just bolt it on like an end plate, and that locates the wing in the box.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day I was like, it'd be cool if you opened the box and said, "Welcome to the gang," And I just sat back and I go, would that raise, your customer experience? Would that make it better? And I go, yes, absolutely it will. So that means I absolutely need to do that.
Yeah.
We need to do that immediately, and it's so easy to kind of get wrapped up in little things that won't do that and kind of spend too much focus on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool to be like thinking about that kind of stuff. Cause it's getting down in the weeds it happens. And so,
yeah. Oh yeah. I got to pull myself out of the weeds almost every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's why going for a run is a good way of doing it.
Yeah. Just clear your head a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So where did the name come from? Please explain that to us.
9 Lives Racing.
Yeah.
So it was, like I said, I was a bike guy. And I've been through, and I don't like to tell everybody the story because I think it's pretty personal to me. And I think it's funny, but I think it gets lost in some people, so don't get your hopes up. But I went through about 3 pretty big crashes where I probably should have been written off. And I walked out of each one, whether in various levels of banged up, but I walked out of each one. And after I crashed a bike and I was sitting and I was like, man, I gotta be done with these motorcycles. Like I ride them too fast, all this stuff. And I'm sitting there with bandages on my arms, and my cousin comes in, who was one of my buddies who I rode with all the time. And he looks at me and goes, it's like you got 9 lives.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked up in the drug painkiller stupor I was in. And I looked at him and I go, I like that. And so I started 9 Lives Racing. It's like just my racing thing.
Yeah, it was just because it was like a hobby name or something, wasn't it? Like it wasn't anything.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Right, and I wanted just something that, like, my buddy had a team name called Bad Apples. Right. Yeah. Now you'll remember Bad Apples Racing till the day you die. You just heard it once. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, I just want a name that's just like that. That's just, catchphrase, easy. No, I don't have to sit there and explain it every 10 minutes. And after that, I made the team, and then we made our logo, and we had 3 racers on the team at the very beginning. And the guy was like, what do you want the logo to look like? I'm like, well, I want to signify the original 3 members. And he goes, okay. And then he made 9 people, and then he crossed out 3. And I was like, that works pretty good. I like that. And
yeah.
So when you see the little dead guy that goes on all the wings, and that's one of the 3 founding members of the team.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a cool story. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sorry you had to almost die 3 times to get there, but
yeah, it was going to happen anyway.
Yeah. So do you find it difficult to manage the obligations of the business, or have you kind of farmed some of that out to employees?
I'm pretty good at setting goals. Okay. It's kind of one of the things the Army taught me. It was kind of a funny story. I had my buddy, one of my friends, we were in Iraq. He got promoted to sergeant, from E4, like we all were. And he was suddenly in charge of the motor pool. And his name was Willie. Is Willie. He's still good. And so Willie was so worried about losing everybody's respect by not working on the trucks anymore, because we had a lot of trucks to fix. And that he would continue to stick his head in the mud and work on these trucks, meanwhile trying to run the shop. And one day the motor sergeant comes down sees Willie under a truck, goes over to him and goes, "Where's your toolbox?" He goes, "Oh, it's over there." He closes it up, puts a lock on it, and throws it in the back of his truck and leaves with it. And he tells him before he goes, "If I ever see you working on a truck again, I'm going to demote you." And he can't run a shop from underneath a truck. And I was standing there, I was watching this whole thing go down. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I like it. I'm going to listen to that for as long as I live. And it was just, I'm like, okay, so I can't be having my head buried in this stuff and trying to manage people. It just doesn't work.
Oh, yeah.
So, you got to give people tasks. You have to clearly and effectively explain what the tasks are. You have to clearly give them what the expectations are. And if they don't meet that, then you either need to retrain them, you need to remotivate them, or you need to let them go.
Yeah.
It's one of the two, ways of doing it. So at the end of the day, I know what tasks I've given people, and I just want to see them done. Mm-hmm. And they know they should finish these. Or if it's like a big task, they know they should be on a path to finish it. But yeah, you just gotta, at one point you kind of turn from, the guy swinging the hammer to the guy babysitting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that is an astonishingly difficult transition to make. And that's what, over the years, that's what I've seen kind of get, or maybe hinder people the most, is the unwillingness to delegate and the inability to do it effectively. Like you said, it's like just telling somebody something to do is not delegating. It's giving them expectations and training them. Like there's such a big part of it. So yeah, man, I'm very impressed. That's super cool that you're able to do that. Yeah.
The shipping girl, my sister. So she was sending out all the wrong bolts for like the first week. And for everybody listening who's bought a wang, I'm sorry. And so what I basically come up to her, I'm like, okay, you're clearly not good at understanding, 5/16, quarter inch, the various lengths, stuff like that. And so I just go, okay, what I want to see you do from now on is I want to make sure every hole that's in a mount has a bolt in it before you send it.
Yeah.
And she hemmed and hawed, and I was like, this is what we want done. If you can do it, good. You can keep doing it. If not, I'll find someone else to do it. And there's not much room here for someone else, And I just kind of got the point, and I'm like, all right, so just put all the bolts into the wing mounts, and ever since then, it kind of solved the problem. Mm-hmm. And she understands it. She doesn't like it because it takes longer to box stuff. But at the end of the day, it stops us from having to send out random USPS boxes all the time.
Spend $6 to send a M6 bolt, or whatever it is, kind of deal.
I hate doing that. $6 to send a $4 or to send a 50-cent bolt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's really cool, man. I think that's really impressive. So that's a hard one to get. So
it is, yeah. I tell you, if I didn't see Willie get his toolbox locked up and taken away, I probably wouldn't get it either.
Yeah. So it took a little epiphany for you to see that as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what about like marketing the business? How do you get the word out there to say, hey, buy my wang instead of this other guy's wing?
It's we're based in engineering, right?
Okay.
So, and we have the resources. So we rely heavily on that. And I like to say that I'm the guy for that job, because in previous jobs, I was the only dude that could effectively communicate what engineers said in layman's terms. Mm-hmm. So at that point, we use the engineering as examples. We use race wins as examples to back up the engineering. And it's just this, and at the end of the day, it has to be fun.
Yeah.
So it's, you just want to sit down and you got to have fun with these guys. No one needs to build a race car. If racing disappeared tomorrow,
just addition. Yeah,
there'd be a bump in the economy, but it wouldn't be very hard. Like people would just move on. So you got to have fun with it, because that's the whole point of us doing this in the first place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So are you doing like Google AdWords? Are you doing Facebook spend? You doing YouTube videos? What's kind of the mix of your marketing strategy?
Yeah, so YouTube videos are mostly like what we use for like install videos and things that I wish to be put up for extended periods of time. So I limit how many YouTube videos we have. So because if you have a bunch that kind of, no one's going to search through your YouTube videos. I'm not that funny, I'm not that interesting. So I just kind of put that up there as like a chronological evidence. YouTube or Facebook, we do a lot with Facebook. I find that's the best because I like to interact with people. I'm good at it. Yeah. So I'm going to play to our strengths and interact with as much as we can. We have done Google AdWords. It netted a return, but it wasn't a huge return. And so we're kind of taking a pause on that till we get the new website up where it can actually tell us where our traffic's coming from.
Yep.
And so we're going to kind of pause on that. Let's see, and then what else?
Do you set up like
Grassroots Motorsports?
Okay, yeah. So I was going to say, do you do like the more conventional, like, because Grassroots Motorsports is a good one, or are you doing like setting up booths at races and events?
I hate booths.
Because you're stuck.
You're stuck, and it can be bad. It can backfire on you. If you're sitting there and you're the only dude with a booth and you got someone sitting in there looking completely miserable, then
it's not good.
That's a bad image. It's kind of showing the world that to new people that nobody's interested. And that might not be true. So I try to avoid booths as much as I can. I like to rather just drop, parachute in and wear a t-shirt, maybe carry an umbrella and just kind of wander around.
Yeah, hang out.
We'll put a tent over a couple of race cars that have the wings on it, and and that's the way away she goes. So, but yeah, I avoid trade shows like a plague. I hate trade shows.
Yeah, the only one we do is PRI.
Right.
Because that one's so much fun. I really enjoy that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Have you been, or like recently have you been, or is it something?
I haven't been.
Okay.
I have this like phobia of trade shows because as a former sales guy, it's like you dread it.
Yeah. Well, if you want to go this year, like let me know because it's like you'll have to go yourself, but
right.
I really like that one because it's only racing. Like it's not show cars, it's not stereos. It's like what's the newest Motec gadget that they've got, or like who's got the coolest brake caliper. There's tons of race seats. So
yeah, right.
And that's
every race seat you could imagine.
That one, man, I don't know. That one may be one that you'd have a good booth at because it's so many racers. Now, most like half of them are circle track, So, I mean, I know you've probably got some customers like that, but it's like they seem pretty set in their ways of like how the cars are set up. But I don't know any. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I should stop talking about it.
So NASCAR.
Yeah,
and those guys are a different breed. They are a riot, man. I love working with them because they don't take no shit. And if you got something that's hot, they will jump on it, and they will not tell their friends.
Well, that's not good for your business.
No, it isn't. No, but it's a riot though.
Yeah.
It makes you feel a little secretive. So it's funny world, man. Those guys crack me up something fierce. And then they sit back and they think all the road racers hate them, which I never quite understood why.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, they got this phobia. I don't get it.
Do you have like a split or like a mix of the retail sales versus like bulk sales? I don't really know like what the race teams are, or is pretty much everything one off or like one style?
So the bulk sales, the dealer network is embarrassing to me, to tell you the truth, because that was always my strong suit, was having a good dealer network. I am currently getting into this, and I want to grow it substantially. I do not, I'm definitely saying I in this and not we, because I definitely want to grow that. I definitely want to have a competitive advantage there. So whatever I got going on that isn't quite there, I think it might be our lead time is a bit challenging.
Yep.
So that means if, we need to start fixing that. We need to start getting our lead times down, on these generic kits, because that's what those guys sell. It's Miata kits. It's E36 kits.
Yeah, if I'm a
kits.
BMW shop and my customer wants a wing, I want to order it and I want it to get here in like 3 days or 5 days. Because the longer it waits, the longer the car is sitting. That's the problem for the shops, is that every delay, they order from 15 different manufacturers, and if every part comes in one day different, it's like just like with you trying to figure out your manufacturing, it's just like when you got to order parts for people, it's a real disaster when the car's sitting there already.
Oh yeah, exactly. Or if you got a customer that's ANSI or what have you, it's off. Yeah, because I mean, like our best dealer right now, we got two that are really good, but our best dealer is ExxonMobil, and it's because all their customers are waiting. Yeah, because they're currently building a car.
Yeah, they're building a car. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so it doesn't phase them at all. So yeah, we definitely need to get that fixed and get it up and going. And I'm going to start. I've already been starting to stock all the kits, all the difficult parts to get together.
Yeah, and I mean, that stuff's a lot easier to plan as well. That's where your economy of scale comes into play. Is the kits. Now the race car stuff is what's fun, but the kits are what usually makes the money.
Right, and honestly, I love stacking dimes on wings.
Yeah,
that's still a riot to me. I don't care what happens here, as long as I still have a welding table, I'm gonna be a-okay. I'll be happy.
So, would you say that's kind of like involved in your 1 year plan, is to kind of work on the dealer network and kind of improve that, or is there other stuff kind of more pressing for the 1 year plan?
So 1 year plan is definitely going to be dealer sales. That's going to be a big focus on us for 2020. And I really, I want to get the CFD launched to club racers, because I don't think anybody understands how cheap it is. I feel like it's kind of like this missed market, because these guys will spend, $3,000-$4,000 on a wing. But to know what your car's, what your car's doing, you're going to spend the same money, go just as fast, if not faster.
Right, faster.
So, it's kind of like, okay, because, a lot of times we see people come in with a humongous wing and they can't match the front downforce. It's easy to put wings on the back. So you have this giant thing that's killing your top speed that doesn't give you any benefit.
Yeah.
So I really want to get that going. That's going to be a big focus for us too.
Okay. And then what about the 5 year plan? Your big goal for the company? Where do you see it?
5 year plan. Well, I definitely would like to own some land by then and have a big facility. Just keep rocking and rolling. Really, at the current state we're going, this probably the third year is going to show us a lot as far as what is expected. Because I think the first couple of years is, it's gangbusters. Everybody's kind of like, hey, you lose this hot, fresh new thing. So seeing the third year is going to be really dictative of what happens on the fifth year. Mm-hmm. I just want to see where it's tracking and what the pulse of the community is at that point.
What kind of capacity do you have at your current facility to grow? You think you got some reorganizing you could do to kind of keep utilizing that space and go up instead of out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have room now for cars to come in, so we can do scanning, and we can always move that out. Mm-hmm. The landlord flipping loves us, because it's like the most interesting thing in the world that we have, or that he has. So it's everyone else is like air conditioning air conditioning guy. So he gets so bored of those, but he's like, I gotta, he can tell his friends that he's got a race shop.
Race shop, yeah.
So he's very excited about that. So yeah, we got another 6,000 square feet we can grow into.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's just going next door or something.
Exactly, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So, getting off of like the business side, a fun question I always like to ask is, what is your daily driver vehicle? Like, not a race car.
Oh, I got a Z51 Corvette.
What year is that one? What year is that?
07.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we got some forge lines put on it this year. So
nice.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
I like them a lot. I interviewed him last year.
Yeah, Dave's awesome. Yeah, he's
such a cool company, and
I find it funny because everyone's like, "Which daily driver?" Because they get it a lot. Because they're like, "Oh, you got a race car? You must have something cool." I'm like, "I drive a Corvette," and they're like, "Oh, what?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's just a Corvette. It's no big deal." And, it's a narrow body. It's just a 6-liter. Like, "Oh, does it have turbos?" I'm like, "No,
not
stock." The race car steals all the money.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah, it's just kind of a fun question to ask to see, what people are getting to and from work in is oftentimes very mundane. So it's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got a pickup truck, but the Corvette's it's cool.
That's
I dig
the fun one, yeah. So just to kind of end it here, what are the best ways for people to find out more about the company? Where can they go, or who can they talk to?
9livesracing.com. Actually, the Facebook's the best place. It's was probably the most monitored thing in the world. We got like 3 people watching it. So just 9 Lives Racing on Facebook. It'll pop up. Black and white logo on the thing when you search it. We have a Twitter feed, which I kind of just use as my dump. Like if I feel frustrated about something, I just unload on Twitter.
That's a weird one.
It's the only way to get reactions on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so, but then our Instagram's hot. Lots of people on that thing. It's always getting a few hundred likes every day on each photo. So that does really well. Let's see, forums were pretty popular on the Champ Car forums, Grassroots Motorsports forums. Marcus is kind of doing his ninja stuff on turbos and that kind of stuff. But honestly, Facebook, the website's always good. 9 spelled out with the number, or 9 with the number, 9 Lives Racing. There's some guy in Indonesia that owns 9livesracing.com, which is
what a pain
frustrating.
In the ass.
I know. So it's just, it's the things you got to deal with in this business.
Yeah. We ran into that. There was a shopping, like a grocery store shopping company in Europe.
Nice.
I think it was Europe. It's somewhere, and for some reason I don't know why it was Europe, because it was a .com. But they had My Shop Assist in something that we wanted. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't the website, but I was like, their name was My Shopping Assistant, and they had My Shop Assist. Oh, and I was like, this isn't even what you guys do. Like, can we buy this?
That?
Yeah. I was like, we'll give you $100 for it. And they were like, no. And they had no activity on it. And I was like, we just forgot about it, and it wasn't a big deal. But it wasn't the website. It's like weird stuff like that happens. It's such a pain in the ass. So
yeah, I know. It's kind of nice because I'd rather have the 9, the number. Yeah. Because it's like shorter to type out when you're sending emails.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm like, I guess this is a happy mistake.
Just go with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. Yeah. So, to all of our, listeners out there, if you guys are interested in a very unique aluminum extruded wing, and this sounds like some more products coming down the pipeline, be sure to give them a call, and I'll be looking out for you at my next track event. I think I'm hoping to go. They're doing a grid life at Pikes Peak International Raceway in Colorado Springs later this month, sometime in July. And I was like, Bob is another guy I've interviewed. I've been friends with him since we've been doing the Ultimate Streetcar stuff out there.
Oh yeah,
it's
Bob's awesome.
It's such a cool facility, and they had the Ultimate Streetcar last week, and they've got this big truck thing going on this week,
which we won.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
I have to throw that in there.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Jeremy Swanson won on his Corvette.
Yeah, he's really been like. He's been pretty, he's going crazy, and he's got an engine from one of our shops here in Dallas that uses our software. Oh, yeah. So it's hoping that it stays together, because he had some trouble in the past. So
I tell you what, Jeremy is such the non-atypical Corvette guy.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of Corvette guys get really worried about changing stuff on their car. Like, he came up to me about brakes. He goes, "What should I do?" And I said, "Throw the ABS in the trash." And
because they have like ice mode problems, right?
Yeah. Well, and it started a firestorm. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So many people were sending me angry letters about, like, how could you do that? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, put it in the trash. We'll put a bias, like a manual adjuster on there, and you will go faster. I guarantee it. And look at him now. you know, he's just shredding it. So yeah, he was like, okay. Like, I didn't even get done sending the message, and he sent me a picture of the thing in the garbage. I'm like, whoa, okay, like, you're not joking around.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, good to hear. And I really appreciate you taking some time to talk with us, and look forward to seeing more of what you do with the business.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening to Do It for a Living. You can find out more about this guest, this show, and even details about what we just talked about at our website. Check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/doitforaliving and tell us who you want to hear from. And most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Click subscribe. Do it now. Seriously. I'll wait while you grab your phone. Open up the podcast app. Tap the subscribe button. When you subscribe, you help us gain momentum and